We're going live. Fuck it.
We're
Fuck
live.
it. We're going live.
Here we are.
Okay. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Dan, why don't you introduce Dan for us?
All right. Oh, if anyone had it on or had it off mute for that first second, they got Dan Morales. That's in his prime. We got Dan Morales with us today. Super pumped. Dan's God, we've been friends for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
Over 10 years.
Yeah.
We were stationed down at Fort Bragg together for at least four.
Yeah.
Crash on his couch for at least one. I don't know. But yeah, so you're still active. You're stationed down in Jersey right now, and you're
Yep.
doing some training oversight and whatnot.
Yep.
And then but in the past couple of years, my dude has picked up in real estate.
Yes, I have.
So wholesaling and all that, man. I'll let you. The floor is yours. It's good. Thank you for doing this with us today, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, about a year and a half ago, I started real estate wholesaling. You know, I watched a video on it, and I've always had kind of a interest in real estate, everything real estate. You know, just like I've always knew I wanted to like delve down that alley and just kind of, I was always curious. You know, I was always curious of like what real estate do, what investors do, what people in real estate do. You know, so I started wholesaling, and that took me down quite the rabbit hole. You know, because you know, it's a simple concept, right? So what a real estate wholesaler is essentially is a person who looks for, you know, distressed or rundown properties, or anyone in you know, who needs to sell their property pretty quickly, right? They might be losing it to the bank, or they might be in a crappy situation. So a wholesaler will come in and say, hey, listen, your house is pretty run down. I can't give you retail price, but you know, I can get you out of your situation at a discounted price, right? Essentially just getting the house at a discounted price. And then once you discuss with the seller, okay, hey, you know, they agree to the discounted price, then you'll take that contract. So essentially you're going under contract with that person, with that seller.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll take your contract and you'll try to find an investor, you know, someone who flips homes, or someone who buy and holds, or whatever, some sort of real estate investing.
Yeah. And
you sell them your contract for a fee, essentially. So let's say I got this house under contract for $50,000, right? And I sell it to an investor for $60,000, right? So I'll make the difference from the 50 to the 60,000, right? So the seller and the investor will go to the closing, right? They'll meet at the title company. They'll go to closing, and they'll sign whatever, do everything there, and then I'll get my fee, which is the assignment fee. The seller will get their money, and the investor will end up with the property. That's pretty much it. Of course, there's numbers you have to work out, right? Like you're not. It's the numbers have to be good for the investor because they want to make money, right? So like, you know, you have to make sure that you got to do numbers, right? Check the ARV of that property. What can that property be forced appreciated to, right? A 3-bed, 1-bath in this particular neighborhood is selling for $300,000, fully flipped, fully renovated. So you're getting about an average ARV of $300,000. Let's say I was able to get it under contract for 150 or 110 or whatever. I tack on maybe a $5, $10, $15,000 fee. Nothing too greedy, you know, because like I said, the deal has to be good for the seller and good for the investor, right?
Yeah.
And then
is the investor doing their due diligence on that too, or are you doing the?
So here's the thing.
Here's
the thing. So once I find a property, you know, and I get it under contract and I send it up to title, that's, you know, if the investor found it before I did, then, you know, I guess he would be able to capitalize on that particular situation. But I'm sure. So I'm actually doing a lot of the homework for the investor, right? So I'm when I present these deals to an investor, I'm sending a whole spreadsheet of like, hey, here's the 3 homes within a half quarter mile radius that sold with the same bed count, bath count, right? And of course, as the investor, I'm sure they're doing their due diligence, right? They're going to double check my work and make sure, like, yeah, I guess he's right on that ARV. Okay,
Yeah.
the deal works for me. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
well, any smart investor would do that, right? So,
Yeah.
so that's pretty much the nitty and gritty of wholesaling.
It's nitty and gritty, but it's not. Holy
No.
smokes, there's a ton of work into that, man.
Yes, there's the grind is real. Like, I've made hundreds, if not thousands, of phone calls, text messages, emails, and a lot of them are, excuse my French, "F you, take me off your list" type responses. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And,
Mike and I are familiar with those types.
A lot of that stuff.
We
A lot of that
call
stuff.
a lot of people too, so we know.
but
Yeah, we know how
like
to do.
here's how I look at it, right? And if anyone out there who's trying to figure out, okay, so what's the wholesaler do? What's the realtor do? It's an ecosystem. I look at it as an ecosystem, right? You got the wholesaler finding these properties that would probably not normally sell. They'd probably just go back to the bank, right? Or stay vacant or abandoned. They get them to an investor, right? The investor fixes it up, and that investor finds a realtor to list it at retail value. You know what I mean? So it's almost, I look at it as an ecosystem.
No, you're right.
So
yeah, it fulfills a need. A lot of times, you fill a niche that oftentimes real estate agents can't do because it's tough to get a paycheck when you're selling a $50,000 house. When you work on commission, you need to sell a lot of houses in a year to make a good income doing a $50,000 house.
Absolutely, yeah. Right. If someone's coming to you like, hey, I'm about to lose my house, can you list it? Like, yeah, I'm sure you could list it for them, but you're at $50,000. With the commission, it's probably not going to be as much versus a $350,000 or $400,000 house. If that situation warranted maybe a wholesaler finding that deal, sending it to an investor flipping it, and then sending it to a realtor. You know what I mean? So
yeah. A lot of times those people that are in that situation are not going to reach out. They're not going to reach out to a real estate agent. They're not going to reach out to an attorney. They're not going to reach out to an investor. So what the wholesaler does is he's the middleman, goes in there and makes that connection.
Right.
And it moves the market along, and everybody wins. Everybody wins when a wholesaler is, doing their job.
I think so. I mean, investors tend to I say this with respect, lowball a lot. At least you're getting the person, the owner, the seller, what they need, and then working with the investors. So having that middleman is
right. And like I said, that was the foot in the door, and I've closed a few deals, which were pretty cool. I joint ventured with a couple other wholesalers to close some deals in the past. And then it's crazy. Then it took me to, that whole rabbit hole took me to now investing. Now I'm just fixated on looking for rental properties to invest in, and branching off of that. Now I'm actually very interested in getting my real estate license, to focus on the retail aspect of real estate. And and that's, I mean, you guys could tell me a lot more about that than
there's, in the real estate investing world, there's a lot of people that will try to coach investors not to get your real estate license, because with a real estate license you have a whole bunch of duties to clients, to the public, that you as an individual investor do not. But if you're going to do business the right way, on the up and up, you're going to get a good reputation in the market, a good reputation with the attorneys and with the real estate agents, with the appraisers, with the inspectors. You got to do business the right way.
Yep.
Right.
So if you're going to
Absolutely.
do that, if you're going to if you're going to make it, you have to do business the right way. So
Right.
why not get your real estate license? You can,
Right.
you know, you can make money in a whole bunch of different ways as a real estate
Absolutely.
licensee versus, you know, an investor, a wholesaler.
In the
Oh,
end, I mean, you know, is wholesaling now and branching off. It's all about relationships. If you're going in there like, I want to make money, you're not going to make money.
Right.
It's 100% about the relationships and genuine in those relationships. Like you genuinely want to see your client do well and be good to them.
Right.
Because if you screw them over, for whatever reason, one, they're never going to come back to you when they might need some money, and two, if they have friends all over Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, your name can get tarnished. Like, it's a real thing where you gotta like genuinely care and take care of them. And I think having a real estate license, I mean, well, one, it binds you to that,
Right.
but two, like it's just that's how it should be in business. You know it as a wholesaler, like 10.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's some, and I would never like call anyone out. I'm not saying I know anyone personally, but there's some shady wholesalers out there who kind of mess it up for the rest of us, to be honest, you know. And I just know, you know, we're the goals that I'm setting forth for myself in my continuous real estate journey. I know that part of the piece of that pie is getting my license, you know, and to help people, you know, especially people who are listen, the market's crazy right now. And I mean, you guys know, right? The market is like, I don't think there's enough homes, and whatever homes are available, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of them are being bought up by some big corporations, you know, like, and some hedge funds are kind of taking advantage there, you know.
We were gonna do a whole live just about that, Dan. To be honest, it's insane. And some stuff coming down the pipe. Me and Mike were doing reading some articles and whatnot, and of what government might do to stop that and all that, and just you know, it's already a crazy market. What would it do with a whirlwind of homes that just come on the market because corporations got rid of them?
Are you guys seeing, you know, from your perspective, or at least from where you're at, a lack of homes, or right? Is it more of a lack of inventory, right?
There's a huge lack. Last week when we did this, we pulled up some of the area towns, and I think they say a balanced market would be 6 months of inventory.
Okay.
At any time on the market. And I think we profiled 5 or 6 towns. I think one of them had 3.8 months. And I mean, some of like one, Windsor Locks, where Dan grew up and where I live right now, had 0.9 months worth of inventory. So there's a huge lack. There's a huge lack. And any listing you gets an enormous amount of showings. I mean, unless you're pricing the home, you know, way above where it should be, you're getting multiple offers, you're getting multiple cash offers, it's going way over asking, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Another piece to it that was what slowed it down even more. There used to be all the new builds. Just people really aren't building much anymore. But right now, not anymore. Right now, because there's plenty of land to do it. It's just they're not building as much as fast as they were, and the ones that are being built, those ones actually are staying on the market a little bit longer. Because it's so expensive. So it's just one of those things, like you know, so many pieces go into what factors that, but that's one of them is the new builds.
Yeah, right. No one's building a $300,000 home. You know, they're all $500,000, $600,000, $700,000.
Right.
Well, with these interest rates, right, 7-8%, who can afford them? Like, you know what I mean? Like your normal. That it's insane.
Yeah, $600,000 loan at 8%. You know that you're paying $48,000 in interest that first year. So that's crazy.
That's
insane.
Well, Rogers would be on us right now. He's the other guy that comes on once in a while. Good friend of ours. He'd be telling us, you know, things about the 10-year yield and how its trajectory, and he'd be talking about, you know, the next quarter, you know, and FY 24 or 24, like what would it, you know, all the changes with it.
Yep.
So he's got a positive. When he spins it positive, I feel positive. So yeah, you know what? It may not be top notch right now, but it's not 8%. It is definitely lower. You got good credit, good debt to income ratio. You got good things going for you, and you're a good, strong buyer. You can get it a little lower than
You can.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that go into it.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
keeping the positivity up here.
One point back, I just want to jump back into the importance of having a good reputation. Everything in the real estate industry, all the people involved in the real estate industry, whether you're a real estate agent or you're a wholesaler or you're a fix and flip investor or you're a buy and hold investor or you're a big multifamily owner, almost all of the not almost all, a huge portion of your work is actually finding business. It's finding your next deal for all of those people. And if you've got you're not going to get a good stream of deal flow with a bad reputation. So you go right up front. You got to do things the right way. And that's how people do well. You can do
Absolutely.
2-3 flips a year and, not develop a good reputation, but you're not going to make a living on 2-3 flips a year. You need to have that good reputation, get that pipeline flowing. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Dan.
I totally agree. 100%. What's up?
That's where you come in, big dog. I'll tell you what, one of the best personalities I've ever met is you. I remember some of the times that we would have, holy smokes, people flock to you, man. You got that way about you, big dog.
I appreciate it, man. So I want to ask you both something. You guys say you both have an investment property together, right? What's a 3-unit triplex?
Yes.
How's that going? How's the landlording on that particular property going? How's how are your renters? How's it going? I mean, I'm just curious.
Oh, you, Dan.
Oh, we learned a lot.
Sure have.
It overall very good, very very good. From top to bottom, it was kind of like, this one in particular had so many different factors to it. So it had one unit that needed to be, it was vacant, but it was needed to be completely finished. So working that piece, like actually I'm talking from subflooring, the sheetrock was up, but nothing else was done.
Oh wow.
So everything from flooring on up, all the appliances, the counters, just countertops, you name it. So like learning that piece, it's like, okay, a lot. Then, we recently had one of the tenants move out. So we're doing another updating piece.
Okay. Yeah.
And then because we bought it with two of the, obviously one empty, but two of them being already living in there.
Okay.
Long time renters too. So we just learned so much about the town. It's a few towns over from us. So we didn't know much about it going in other than playing them in football and basketball and whatnot growing up in high school. So we didn't really know too much, but overall, just a great experience, great learning. Landlording it's not easy. It's not easy, especially like it's 3 kids. I have 2 kids. I'm 40 minutes away from the property. He's 25, maybe 30. Right. Luckily we found a tenant who takes care of a lot of the
maintenance.
The maintenance for us now. We didn't have that for the first 8 months.
Yeah. And that's awesome. And I guess we can all agree on that too. Like, vetting your tenants, right? Like
so important.
That's
so
probably
important.
like one of the most important, at least in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong. And what, the vet process of those tenants that are going to be essentially, did you guys buy it outright or did you put a mortgage? Like, did you use the bank's money? How'd you acquire this property? Like,
no,
private money. Private money. We borrowed money from a family friend, actually. Right. And we had cash in the bank. We put a cash offer on the property. We got it substantially lower than market value because of the current situation. Because two of the units were a mess. The 2 people that had long-time tenants were a mess. They were occupied. When they move out, they are going to have to be completely rehabbed. Okay. So we bought it going into that. The 3rd unit, it's a very weird property. There's 2 small units, and the 3rd is much bigger. It's probably about double the size of the other one, but it had a fire. it had a fire, what, 4 or 5 years
Yeah,
previously?
it used to be a 5 unit.
Yeah. Oh, it was? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I
Yeah.
had no clue.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, so they I guess they turned 3 units into a single, and it must have been 2 stories.
It was.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
2 stories.
So yeah, see, I'm learning about this property today too.
Yeah.
No, that's
I-
awesome though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fire damage, but it hadn't been done. It had been started, but the owner got sick, and he'd been doing the work himself, and it hadn't made it very far. And he was just ready to cut ties, and we came in with an offer that worked. We negotiated a little bit. We had to come down. I don't even remember after the inspection, we had to come down. I don't remember what we were originally under contract for. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to say it?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we were under for 200.
200. Okay. Yeah.
Got it for 178.
Yeah, so we had to come down quite a bit, and it's worked well. But there's
Wow.
no way it would have worked well if we didn't. We paid pretty much close to as much as we could have in order to make it work.
That's awesome though for a triplex. That's pretty shit, man. Well,
Yeah,
because here's
know.
the thing. Here's the thing. Like, and here's the exciting part. Whether you guys can see this or not, right? You guys are gonna fix that property up. You're gonna force appreciate that property.
Yeah.
Right. Once you force appreciate that property, you're gonna have a few options. Right. And especially if you have all 3 properties rented, right? All 3 doors rented out,
Mhm.
and your tenants are paying down your mortgage for you or your loan for you, right?
Right.
Option A, you can refinance the property, go to a small bank or something like that, and say, hey, here are my rent rolls. Like here's the closest to the ARV we think is possible. Of course, they'll probably send out an adjuster or
Mhm.
not an adjuster,
Appraiser.
an appraiser. I'm sorry, to actually get the most accurate ARV. But either way, you're going to force appreciate that property. And what do you do at that point? Do you burr it? Do you buy? I mean, you already bought. You're going to renovate it. You're renting it out. You're going to refinance. You're going to repeat. You know what I mean? Like,
It's exactly our plan. That's exactly
yeah.
our plan.
And then put that. Once you pull that equity out, put it on another property, another triplex, duplex, fourplex,
Yep.
whatever. You know what I mean? And then rinse and repeat. So me and Dan were actually talking about that a little bit, and I told him that's my plan.
Mhm.
I'm going to wholesale any deals I find. I'm not actually going to send them to an investor. I'm going to, if they're good enough for me to buy myself, I'm going to keep them and fix them up, and then just burr method.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the goal. So
What's the market like down in your area? What's a 2, what's a 3 family go for?
man, geez, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
I would almost assume the same as you guys. Like, so a 4-bed, 2-bath in my town, one just sold for almost 500,000. Yeah,
A single family, 4-bed, 2-bath, single family.
yeah.
How the square footage?
It's about 2,000 square foot.
Ain't that
Yeah, it's
awful.
for close to 5. So it's still pretty high. It's still pretty.
Depending on condition, obviously, but it's not that far off from here.
Yeah.
No, yeah. In every town, I don't know what you said. You're close to Philly is somewhat.
I would be considered like I'm in Jersey. I'm in New Jersey, but considered like they would still consider this part the suburbs of Philly.
Okay.
I'm over the bridge. I'm not
Yeah.
technically in PA. I'm in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But
In our area, from town to town, fluctuates very, very much. Like I live right on the border of a town, and if my house was 200 feet that way, the way I'm pointing right now, it would sell for $100,000 more probably.
Yeah.
And if it was over the river that way, a quarter of a mile just over the river, it'd probably be $40,000 less than what it is right now.
Yeah.
So, and if it was in Dan's neighborhood, it'd be worth $150,000 more than it's worth right now. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's that's that's this market, man.
Real estate and location.
Yeah.
It's always
Look-
been that way.
Location.
Well, location's everything, right? And this, this is what I say when I'm, talking to other investors, wholesalers, realtors, whatever. Location is, geez, it's make or break. It'll make or, especially if you're best, and and one of the most important things, whether you're buying, selling, is that market analysis, right? Like, so if you want to invest in a particular area, one, how would you know this is a good area to invest in, right? So how would you know, like, this particular town, I want to buy an investment property. I know that, I'll get a renter in there. I'll make some money. I'll have a good cash flow going, right? Versus a town that you wouldn't, and it all comes down to the market analysis.
Mhm.
And it's tricky sometimes, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's even more so than just different towns. Like, for example, the house that we invested, the 3-family, if it was 100 yards up the street, surrounded by a whole bunch of other houses in a tiny little lot, we would not. I don't think we would have been interested. But where it is, it's by itself. It's on a street. It's in a fairly crowded area, but really, there's no neighbors. Across the street is another street, and then there's a little, I don't know, there's a treed area. Behind it is a hill. It's at the end of a street, and it's not close. In between the house next door, there's 2 driveways. They're not close. So even within a single street, there's good deals and bad deals.
So much go into it. So much goes into it.
But so yeah, that's a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah. We deal with that every day, and every day is a different day. You go into a day with a plan, does not end up. My last 2 days have not ended up how I thought they would have. Say on Tuesday morning, I would not have thought Wednesday and Thursday have gone the way they did.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like potential clients,
stuff I'm not going to talk about. Stuff I shouldn't talk about. To not unresolved issues.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's got a plan.
Yeah.
Until they get punched in the face, and
Exactly. Yeah.
Mike's just getting speed bagged right now.
Oh yeah. Oh man. You guys venture into like commercial at all? Are you guys you guys ever think about tapping into that in the future? You ever contemplate it, like the commercial market at all, or?
Yeah. Yes and no. If the right deal came along, I'd be certainly willing to look at it, underwrite the deal, analyze it, and if it's worth it. So probably 11 years ago now, 10 or 11 years ago, there was a strip mall that's part of a condo. So I think there's 11 ground floor units below, all retail. Above are 2 levels of 10 condos each. So there's 30 units. And the bottom level was foreclosed on. It was bank owned. I had looked at it. It was on the market for $200,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, $200,000. I had looked at it. I considered it. At the time, I just didn't have enough cash reserves to buy it and fix up the units that needed to be fixed up. There were a couple of tenants, but it was pretty empty.
Messed up, Mike.
I talked to the agent. He's like,
"Who's that battle,
Mike? Mike, if you brought $150,000, you could buy this thing." I did not buy it. At the time, my wife was working in New York, Manhattan. So we were back. I was back and forth. She was back and forth. My daughter was just born. So it was 10 years ago. I just didn't have the time to do it at all. I did not have the time. Biggest mistake. We could have just sat on that $150,000 mortgage, left it there, waited a couple years, probably did nothing, and could have sold it for doubled my money in just 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, it's probably worth 800, 900 grand right now. It's fully rented.
Right.
It'd
Well,
be a cash flow thing.
Yeah. Well, interesting thing about that too, like strip malls and stuff like that. If some of the units or some of the stores are, because commercial real estate goes off cap rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're buying commercial real estate, it goes off the cap rate of your rent rolls and what's actually. But if some of those stores aren't rented, you're actually you're getting it discounted because the zero rents from those unleased stores aren't calculated in your cap rate.
And that's why it was for 150 grand.
Oh,
I
man.
could have got it for 150. I think somebody actually bought it. They actually bought it. They put a little bit of money, a little bit of time into it, and I think they sold it for 400. Like 3.5 years later. Work
Yeah.
that I could have put in. They did. I mean, they put a couple of signs up. They
You
rented up a couple of the units.
But here's the thing, and you guys, I'm sure you guys would agree with this. You look back at some of the deals that you were working, right? And they might have fell through. There were some deals that, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, what, maybe if I was a little more educated at the time on how, I could have like brokeraged this deal but there's so many new deals that just get thrown at you. It's almost like, oh, you lost a good one, but another good one comes your way eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think in real estate, and when it comes to that, you got to have like a fish type memory. You just got to let it go.
Yeah.
You harp on that and be like, "Well, I find another deal. Let it go. Move on." I mean, now will I make fun of Mike for giving up a $200,000 property? Yeah, of course I'm gonna.
But you know what? I haven't thought about that in a long, long time. And now
I'm never brought it up
tonight. I'm going to be kicking myself tonight.
You should have never brought it up.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy, man. Like there was Philadelphia. Me and my brother are actually going to buy this house from another wholesaler actually, and 30 grand. It was 30 grand. And when I Google mapped the property, right, and it wasn't in a great neighborhood, but when I Google mapped the property and I was going through the streets, all these homes were just being rebuilt, like insane. It was just like, oh my God, this whole area is being rebuilt, and they were selling for like $400,000. And by the time we reached back out to the wholesaler, like I should have just said yes when he asked me. I said, oh, give me some time. I'm going to talk to my brother, blah, blah, blah. And a day goes by. We reach back out to him. Hey, okay, yeah, we want it now. Sorry. I went with someone else who offered a little 30,000. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like,
I got another one too. I'll share this one too. So it was from a girl that was a couple years older than me in high school. I don't remember how we connected, but she had a place to sell. Now these are small little places. They were built as, I think, army housing in the 50s, just small little 1-bedroom flats, 1 bedroom, a living room, kitchen. I think she wanted $21,000 for it at the time. That was a while ago. 21 grand. It needed a little bit of work, but not much. Right. Maybe 4 grand worth of work. She didn't have it, and we had like 23 grand in the bank account. And I didn't want to ask somebody for money. I didn't want to ask somebody, I'm just too nervous to put stuff on credit cards. I've always been, you always hear success stories of these people. I bought a $120,000 house by taking cash advances on their credit cards. I'm way too conservative to do that.
Yeah.
I was short like 4 grand, throwing some closing costs. I might've been short 5 grand. So I dragged my feet like 2 weeks passed. I'm like, you know what? This is stupid. I know that if I fix this up, it would sell for 40. Like I could do it immediately. I could turn that into, I could make 15 grand super easy. I wouldn't have done that. I would have kept it and rented it. Of course, the day before, she had talked to somebody else who ended up buying the thing, who still owns it right now. Now the place would sell for, I don't know, probably it's still not a lot. Probably only about 110. But man, it'd be renting for $1,400 a month right now.
And you know what's crazy? You want to know what's crazy about that? Hindsight's 2020, right? We all day but the more you I guess the more you're in, you're in the real estate game, and the more you're learning, and you start learning about like creative finance deals, right? Like in a situation like that, someone could, you could have even, hey, I'll give you 20 and lease to buy the remainder in payments or something like that. You know what I mean? So you learn about you learn about creative finance deals, or like, subject to the existing mortgage, and lease to buy, and all
Yeah.
these that, had I had that knowledge in the past, man.
Yeah, I always
Ah,
too nervous. You just don't
I
always afraid to jump and take that step. Another one, I own a
Not
three family.
anymore.
I own a three family in town, and that was seller financed. And I bought it, I think, 4 years ago, and I was afraid to do it because at the time I thought I was paying a little bit too much.
right,
The purchase price was a little bit too much, but the fact that it was seller financed, you're able to pay more if something
Right.
is seller financed.
Right.
And now what the market's done in the last 4 years, I could sell it for, I could make a huge profit on it right now. But I was really afraid because at the time I thought I was paying a little bit too much.
Right.
So, and now it sounds like I got these deals left and right here. This is the full extent of my real estate investing career you've now heard on this
Oh,
podcast.
no,
here.
that's awesome, man.
So,
Like, listen,
I'm out of stories.
no, that's awesome, man. I applaud you guys. You guys are like, a lot of people. Remember, and this is what we were talking about before we went live, Mike. And before you came on, Dan. People are always out there watching. They're looking, and someone is just starting out in real estate right now. He or she might have just gotten their license, and they have these dreams of being successful in real estate, and you were where they were once. They want to be where you're at currently. You know what I mean? So I think it's pretty awesome.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, what you guys.
It's a long road. Got to stay consistent on it. Consistency and discipline is key. So
We'd like to pick one. We'd like to pick one more up before year end. Get it under contract. That's kind of our goal. We'll see.
yeah, that's we've been talking about it. I think I texted you today. What, 16
did.
days?
Yeah, we got
something
whatever,
out.
16 days left.
We're not afraid to pull a trigger anymore. Now it's just
Yeah, you got to
Do
find
it.
it. Which
And some people call it pulling the trigger. Some people call it desk pops. Preferential at that point. You know what I mean? Just pull the
September 08.
No, this is awesome though.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Dan, I know you're pretty active on TikTok. What is your? We can put this down in the comments below on this live. If you want people following you, checking out your journey, what's that? And we'll go ahead and put that up there.
So for anyone who is starting out in real estate, and they're trying to broaden their horizon and learn different aspects, you can follow me on Flip and Grind, at TikTok, FLIP.N.grind at TikTok. And I go through my personal wholesaling journey from beginning to current, all my success, all my failures, and even now with me branching off to investing, trying to find or be more of an investor than just a wholesaler, and and me trying to get my real estate license currently as well. Just follow along, enjoy the show.
Yeah,
there'll be some tears, some laughs.
Enjoy the show.
But so yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Dan.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate
Dan,
it.
you got anything else to say down
Nope.
there?
No.
No?
Morales said it all, man.
Yeah. Thanks again, Dan.
Yep. Appreciate it, guys.